Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 172 of the Seezus Show. We're back with another fun-filled week. Hope you guys enjoyed episode 171. Just to rehash with you guys, 171 was more so or less the Super Bowl predictions. Looks like we were finally right. I mean, we only had one prediction to do, but hope you guys enjoyed that episode with, the latest with Tatum, Giannis, a couple trades that kind of went through. And yeah, that was about it. But today, we're going to focus on obviously a couple NFL heavy hitters and the NBA is getting a little spicy right now. But before we get into the hottest topics with our introduction, ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for my boy, for the GOAT, for Detroit's finest, the legend himself, Carl Conyers.
What's good, everybody? How you doing, my guy?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. I was just eating some leftovers from the Super Bowl that my cousin hosted. So that was good, man. But went to the gym today. Played a little bit of 2K. Now I'm back in the lab with you.
Feel it.
What's
What you
going on
be
with you,
playing on
man?
there? What mode?
You already know what mode. The fucking park shit with rec. I basically need to be in the rec the whole time with my creative builds.
Real. Okay.
I used to do quick matches only, and then I would do the like my GM, and
Hmm.
then with the my GM we basically did like an online franchise, but only like three of us are like actually good doing quick matches. So last year we kind of converted over to just playing together for the my player shit.
Got you.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
I'm a versatile Negro, you know.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm not. I just be in the fucking my GM pretty much the whole time on there.
Yeah, yeah. Nah, 2K's my number one specialty. Then from there, Madden, NCAA, FIFA. It used to be FIFA number two. But I don't play FIFA consistently enough to feel like I'm that nigga.
That's real. Yeah, I ain't played FIFA in some years, to be real with you. Probably since I went to school with white people.
Nah, FIFA, I've been playing FIFA since '06 because my cousin who moved to Virginia, like he had a soccer background. So I've been playing that joint since '06. Never missed a game until I think 2 years ago.
Damn.
So yeah, I'm like top
Tap.
percentile with that shit.
Bro.
But yeah, it's been a minute, man. It's been a minute. So I actually copped that Spider-Man joint that was on sale not too long ago, and I haven't played it yet, but I need to make time for that.
Miles Morales or just two?
Two of both of them.
Okay, okay, yeah,
So yeah, everybody said it's pretty good, and it was on sale because that joint was $70 for the longest, bro. I'm like, come on, dog. It's been 2+ years. Like,
They don't be
let's get
caring,
a
bro.
let's get a price drop, dog. But yeah, I think it was on sale for like 40, and I haven't even played it yet because when I get online, like niggas got a group chat with 2K and stuff, so you just be like, yeah, let's run. But like, I kind of rather play with them and get some good audio commentary anyway. So
That's real.
yeah, that should be fun. But let's go ahead and, get into today's hottest topics. First and foremost, we're going to start off with the National Football League. The Super Bowl was yesterday, and the Seattle Seahawks gave BTA, I repeat, BTA belt to ass to the New England Patriots. The final score was 29-13. Sam Darnold was 1938, 202 yards, one touchdown, no interceptions. Drake May was 27 of 43, two touchdowns, two interceptions, sacked 6 times, and fumbled the ball, I believe, once and lost it as well, too. Um, wasn't what I expected, I'd have to say. Definitely something that's kind of crazy. But before I go into my little monologue with everything, man, what was your thoughts on the game and your takeaway from the Super Bowl?
One, this game fucking sucked, man. Like the game really sucked. It was sad. And it reminded me, although of course there were more points scored, it reminded me of the Rams, was that the Rams Patriots? Where it's like 13-0 or something like that. It was just a terrible low scoring game. It was just field goals and defense basically. Uh
Mhm.
and that's what this game was for the most of it was just field goals and defense. Um And it's crazy because the Patriots showed like they have I would say the Patriots have a good defense, but Christian Gonzalez, was one
Gonzo,
of the best corners in the league.
of course.
Like he was single-handedly keeping them in the game. Like he every time there was a key pass, like a third down or something like that, he was like, nah. And that was crazy to see. I like if they had somehow managed to win that game, which I don't think they could have, I think he would have been the Super Bowl MVP in my opinion.
Mm,
But yeah, just kind of, I hate to give credence to it, but it's a lot of what people were saying before the game happened. It's just, Drake didn't do anything impressive at all when the playoffs, this entire time during the playoffs. The Patriots offensively, defense have been great. Offensively hasn't done anything at all. And it just looked like more of the same. Like he played the way that he played, if they weren't playing one of the best offenses and the Seahawks had only scored 12 points, which they've been holding all their other pointers to, yeah, they would have won. But they finally dealt with the offense that was above competent. And it just showed that they really couldn't keep up with it. And it's just been par for the course for them this whole postseason. So, Drake is young. I do, though, hate I think it was either Collinsworth or the other guy was like, this is all just a learning experience for Drake May. And I'm like, this is the Super Bowl, bro. This is not a learning experience. You don't get to just learn from, oh yeah, the last time I was in the Super Bowl. You know how many people make it to the Super Bowl and never make it back? You know how many people never make it, period?
mm,
There's nothing in my head that makes me feel confident that Drake May and the Patriots are going to be back to the Super Bowl.
mm.
Especially when you look at how things shook out in their conference this year. So yeah, I hate it for him. I also hate the empty stat padding. Like you look at it, he's like, oh, he had 280 yards. Like he had a decent game. No, he didn't. I think he threw for over 200 yards in the fourth quarter when it was all meaningless, basically, just trying to get them to
He kept playing
13
catch up.
points.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do kind of hate that. But yeah, like I said, overall, I know we texted a little bit about this. At first, I was like, dang. I wish the Lions were here. If the Lions could have made it out, that would have been great.
Hmm.
But I just know our defense would have got shredded by the Seahawks too. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so I'm like, I can't even do that. But I know who one of the things you're probably going to talk about, your team, I definitely think would have fared a lot better, but
Hmm.
it's lost to the Broncos. So
Yeah, man. So first and foremost, credit to the New England Patriots being the representatives of the AFC, from having win 4 games to turn around, having, top 2 seed in the AFC and get into the Super Bowl is great. I wouldn't necessarily, talk about learning from the Super Bowl, but you can say learning as a whole within this entire playoffs. I felt like they had the easiest schedule. So to go up against all those top defenses, he has definitely a lot of footage to kind of, play around with, including the Super Bowl. Because, like I said, they went up against the Chargers defense, they went up against the Broncos, they went up against the Texans, and they went up against Seattle, arguably all top 10 defenses. So that's something that he can definitely learn from. Obviously, like I said, going from 4 wins to 13 or 14 or however many they won. Um, he's just gonna have to learn. He's gonna have to learn how to read defenses and really be a master of minimizing risk and taking what the defense gives him as well too. Um, they left tackle was ass, bro. That nigga Will Campbell played like a bum.
dog
And I
shit.
felt like the game plan was to take the life out of Drake May early, right? So knowing that your left tackle is gonna struggle, his confidence was just shot, bro. Shot,
Can
bro.
I can I say one thing real quick though?
Hmm.
I saw a little bit of it during the game, and afterwards I saw a lot more of it. Even
Hmm.
though his offensive line was not playing great, there were plenty of times where he had wide open receivers and he was just missing them or
And
wasn't
which
even
and
seeing them.
And which I was gonna say, yeah. So even with all that going down, he still had simple reads. He had his checkdowns. I just felt like he tried to go for big plays when, like I said, he could have definitely, um, you know, took what the defense gave him. And I really didn't see. I thought they were gonna, like, try to incorporate him being more of a dual threat as well too, because that was something that I was kind of thinking about, but they just weren't ready. They just weren't ready. And they got beat up, man. But kind of like you said, bro, I was kind of upset. Just seeing how everything kind of unfolded. I was just like, bro, like, even though our team was flawed, we were still good enough to get the job done. And even if we didn't make it, like, I wish Bo Nix didn't get hurt, because the Denver actually has a good defense. I think Sean Payton would have came up with a decent game plan, but it's just like, bro, to be in the Super Bowl, like you said, it was empty calories at that point in the fourth quarter. So like 29-13 isn't a true depiction of the game itself, but it's just like, damn, like I'd rather have seen another team put up a better fight than this. And that shit just kind of made me. This is the most like mad I was watching Super Bowl. Like niggas was at the niggas was looking at me like, "Yo, see you good?" And I was just like, "No, I'm not good," because I know what could have happened if another team was there, especially mine. But at the end of the day,
Yep.
at the end of the day, it's just like you got to minimize risk. Tom Brady always talks about that as well too. And if we minimize risk, we would most likely have been here as well. And that's why I got to give credit to Sam Darnold. I mean, obviously he has a top defense, has some good skilled players, but he took care of the football. He took care of the
No
football compared to
turnovers.
all the other teams that the Patriots played against. Like I told you, like these dudes, Patriots defense is lit. Don't get me wrong, but like the quarterback play to get to the fucking Super Bowl was atrocious. Like not Josh. I'm sorry, Drake May played bad all those games, but because
Hmm.
their defense was so good and the quarterback performance was piss poor, and niggas got away with some shit. So it was good to see an actual competent game plan, competent quarterback play from Sam Darnold. Because I was like, all right, like if Sam can kind of like, and Sam, well, yeah, Sam was doing. I mean, he had a couple where it could have been a turnover, but it won't a turnover. But like seeing him in the pocket compared to last year when he was on Minnesota, like he's just more decisive. He was using his leg. He played good going up against a defense like that, good enough. And then shout out to Kenneth Walker. Wasn't he the MVP? Right, I kind of turned it off at that point. He was MVP, right?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, 27 carries for 135 yards, man. He's I like watching him play. Very, very elusive. Kind of remind me of Joseph Adai from back in the day with the Indianapolis Colts a little bit. But yeah, man. That was a Super Bowl then and there, man. No more football now. So free agency, officially kind of begins. So I'm excited to see, what offseason moves are made before um the draft. It's Seattle. Like we said, this whole year, like there was just so many different teams. We just didn't know who was gonna end up being the last two going into the season. If you'd have told me it would have been the newly signed Sam Darnold with the Seattle Seahawks being a representative of the NFC and a 4-win team in New England Patriots being the representatives of the AFC, I would have been like, hell no. But hey, that's what NFL is all about, man.
And
Defense wins championships.
the craziest part is that the Seahawks actually looked the part.
Yeah.
Like the Patriots, not really, but nobody and everyone and all the stuff that people were saying beforehand, nobody could actually discredit the Seahawks. Like, no, they were a really good team. And again, just we wouldn't have, there's no way I feel like people would have been like at the beginning of the year, yeah, this is how it's gonna go.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, overall good season. Last thing I say, overall great fucking season from week 1 to week 18. But like you said, the Super Bowl was just like anticlimactic, bruh. I'm just like, damn, all this for this bullshit, but that's how it goes. I mean, at least last year, even though it was about to ass, we got a lot of explosive plays from the Eagles. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But this one was just like, but it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Um, as far as the Super Bowl performance with Bad Bunny, man, what were your thoughts on that?
I thought it was pretty dope. I do, and this is just maybe the nigga in me. I do
Yeah.
wish that they had give us some subtitles. Um, but outside of that, like, I mean, I watch a lot of anime, and granted, in that, of course, there are subtitles, but most of the credit songs, the beginning and the end, you don't really get subtitles for those.
Yeah.
And I kind of grew up on a lot of that as well. So, listening to music in a language that I fully understand is not anything foreign to me. And I think that's kind of what this was about. It was a vibe, that was kind of what it was. And the performance was really dope. And that, you don't need to speak a certain language to understand. So, I'm all here for inclusivity, especially in a time right now where the powers that be at our government are trying to divide people, which is really crazy. But yeah, so overall, I was happy with it.
Yeah, man, I thought it was a great performance. Like you said, I like how we kind of diversified everything. I appreciated like even like the song selection like list was good. Transitions, outfit was fire. Like the set decoration was amazing. The colors were nice. And the camera work these past couple years in the Super Bowl is they've been up in their
Crazy.
game. Obviously that one part was pre-recorded when he like falls into the house and comes out, but like that whole transition was fire as hell too. But no, I enjoyed it. That should definitely make me want to be somewhere tropical. I didn't get to listen to his album that got nominated. I mean, I got that won the Grammy. So I definitely want to next time I go to the gym, lock in with that as well too. But like you said, I definitely wish we had a little bit of subtitles, but that also kind of speaks to where we are, as a nation compared to other countries. And one thing I saw with Jamel Hill, sometimes I agree, sometimes I disagree with what she says, but she said one thing that Bad Bunny's performance exposes is that most Americans have such a limited, narrow worldview. We're the ones who aren't bilingual or multilingual. Overall, we are wildly ignorant when it comes to globalism and geopolitics, and is a big reason we're behind in almost everything from economics to education to infrastructure, healthcare, etc. Citizens abroad are more educated on our politics and history than we are, aka non-melanin. But nah, I definitely agree with what she was kind of saying as well too. But no, overall a great Super Bowl performance. I didn't really care too much about there's just a lot going on, so I didn't really lock in as far as with the ads and stuff like that, the commercials.
Mhm.
One of them that stood out was I guess the Dunkin' Donut one. And I think what was the other one? I can't think of the other one right now. Um, but I feel like nothing really like stood out too much for me to actually care. But I think I may set aside some time just to like look at it because I know with like the agency I work at, we had a slot for Kellogg's, so I knew about that because they released that a couple days before. Um, but as far as like a Super Bowl performance, is there anybody that you'd like to see like next year? I feel like next year they're gonna go like white just to get it out the nigga system. And then after that, the following Super Bowl is going to be, someone that kind of looks like us. But is there anybody that you haven't seen yet that you like to see on the big stage?
Not really, bro. I don't really. I feel like for the most part, the Super Bowl halftime show is what makes the Super Bowl watchable for everybody.
Yeah,
Like that's where it's like, okay, the girls who don't really pay attention and kids and stuff like that, like I'm actually really there for the game most of the time. And like the halftime show is really like 12, 13 minutes. So
yeah,
I don't really care. I'll be honest with you.
yeah,
Most of the time, usually it's always like my girl or the girls that I'm around that are more excited about it, even when it's an artist I like.
yeah,
So whoever they do, I'm sure will be cool. But as long as it's not fucking Kid Rock, I'm cool.
yeah. No, I feel that. I feel that. So moving on to NBA topics, trade deadline, man. We had a lot of stuff going on, man. So definitely, we briefly kind of talked about things, but definitely excited to kind of hear your spill on a lot of these different trades. So we can just go through it player by player, team by team. So one of the biggest ones was Anthony Davis going to the Wizards. The Dallas Mavericks traded Anthony Davis to the Washington Wizards. So this move effectively obviously ended Davis' tenure in Dallas just over a year after the Mavericks originally acquired him from Los Angeles Lakers in a massive trade for Luka Doncic as well. The Wizards received Anthony Davis, D'Angelo Russell, Jaden Hardy, Dante Exum, and Dallas received Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, Tyus Jones, Marvin Bagley the third, a 2026 first round pick from OKC, and a 2030 protected first round pick from Golden State Warrior, and three future second round picks. What are your thoughts on Anthony Davis now joining the Washington Wizards? Obviously, we talked about Trae Young weeks ago, but it looks like they got their two stars for the city of DC or the the district.
Yeah, I mean, kind of what we said before offline. On paper, it's cool.
Yeah,
Always great on paper. I'm never going to, if for the past 4 or 5 years I couldn't count on Anthony Davis to be healthy. Now him being 4 or 5 years older, I'm not going to assume he's going to get any healthier. So we'll see when the season actually starts how many games he actually plays. Uh, as long as, but to me, if he can play like 40, 50 games and be available for most of the postseason, then that's a success. But yeah, I mean, it's for it's the Wizards, so I'm not going to kill them over it because having potentially having Anthony Davis for even a couple of games is much better than anything that they gave up, basically. Especially when it's like, okay, AD is going to sit for the rest of the year. Trey's probably sitting for most of the rest of the year. So they're going to get a high draft pick in a really loaded draft class. So they have a nice, SAR is actually looking pretty nice this year. And Trey and some of
George.
these other guys. Yeah, Keyshawn George. So like I think that they're building something that with or without Anthony Davis, I think their team is going to be decent next year. And then having the prospect of bringing him in, kind of like what the Hawks were planning to do this year with Porzingis, bless you.
Oh, thank
But
you.
just also kind of shows the opposite end of that of like, he could be what you need or he cannot be what you need. So uh I feel like it's a high risk, high reward move. No, high reward, low risk.
Yeah, I agree with you as well. And just being from Virginia and that being our local team, it's going to be nice to, like you said, on paper, they should be a playoff contending team. Because we haven't been good since the John Wall era. I mean, Russ blessed it with us when we had the first or second original play-in, so that was kind of exciting to watch towards the end of the year. Him going crazy with the triple doubles and just willing that team to win, to wins to get to the playoffs. But yeah, man, Anthony Davis, like you said, like I'm starting to just realize people are who they are, and although he's a top talent, um, he just cannot stay healthy. So I'm just nervous to see what that kind of looks like. But like you said, even he's probably going to like sit out. Trae Young's not going to play. So like you said, they definitely going to have like a top five pick or whatnot, so they can hit. This draft class is going to be nice too, so they can get somebody. I'm just trying to figure out who they would try to get based on who they have now. So do they go for best available or do they go for a position that they kind of need? But either way, I think they'll be all right. Like I said, they already outside of the two stars, they already got some solid pieces to work around. So they should be decent next year. But I already know around this time next year we're gonna be clowning and talking about some injuries. So for the
Hmm.
sake of it, I hope not. But you never know. You never know. Sometimes people happen to magically have a decent season and then go back to the regression. Um, but yeah, outside of that, Porzingis went to the Warriors. So the Warriors received Kristaps Porzingis. The Hawks received Jonathan Kuminga and guard Buddy Hield. Secondary move, the Warriors also sent uh, Jackson Davis to Toronto Raptors for a second round pick to clear roster space. What are your thoughts on Porzingis going to the Warriors and then Jonathan Kuminga finally being released and and is a part of a fresh start?
I mean, for the Warriors, I think this is one of the things that frustrates me about the Warriors ownership and has for like honestly the past like 8 years or something like that, even though I know that includes a championship. Um, they ref after like Zaza and Festus Ezeli and Andrew Bogut, they refuse to add
Give a
any
big.
size to this
Yeah.
team ever. And when there are plenty of opportunities, Steven Adams, all these guys have been out there that they could have got for nothing, and they've decided not to do it. So like that's why it frustrates me because it's like, damn, y'all waited till y'all are in a pretty bad situation and now finally add some size. I like the idea of the move. I think Steph with a rim protector. Steph hasn't had a rim protector literally since that first go around when
Yeah.
there was like 14, 15.
Yeah.
Um, so like that is an amazing, I feel like works perfectly with him. But of course the downside is, you got somebody with POTS and just general injury history. So who knows how often he's going to play, what he's going to look like, his conditioning, all that other stuff. And I feel like this move, if um Jimmy Butler was healthy, I like this move even more.
Yeah.
But he's not. So I just don't think it really does anything for the season. And then also I don't know what you're gonna look like next year. At the end of the day, Kuminga didn't want to be there. Y'all didn't want him there, and it was untenable. So at least you got some type of value piece for him.
Hmm.
But it's again one of those to me, low risk, potentially high reward. But even with that, I don't think it's going to be rewarding this season. I don't see that him being the missing piece that makes us a championship roster.
Yeah, they just need to get on that Clippers wave and just kind of reset. I feel like it's kind of overrated having the ability to be a part of one franchise for the entirety of your career. I mean, obviously we saw with Kobe, Tim Duncan, and Dirk, but at this point, he already put his time in, man. He's done so much for that's the both cities, the entire franchise, the money into the owners' pockets, all that stuff. Like, I think it's just that time. Like, I don't really see a situation where they can improve to contend anymore. I mean, obviously, if you have Steph, you got a chance, but he's a lot more older, so I would love for him to be in a better situation where he actually has a chance. Because like you were saying the other day, like we're gonna have to enjoy these last couple seasons with him, man. But yeah, I would love to see him compete, you know. But Porzingis, I mean, like you said, it's y'all been waiting all these years and you finally get him, but it's too late. Um, but as far as like the Jonathan Kuminga standpoint, like I'm happy he's in a different situation, but y'all got Jalen Johnson who basically takes on that role of what he already does. So I'm just trying to figure out like what that's gonna kind of look like as well. I mean, they got pieces, but I don't know what that's gonna look like altogether. So I feel like it's gonna be a situation like what it was in Golden State where they're not gonna know what to do with him. But what are your thoughts on him being there?
I think it's whatever. I think that I would have liked if he got traded to like a team like the Wizards or some just like bad team, or even like the Clippers right now.
Yeah,
I just don't see there being the right. I think there's opportunity there, but I don't think the opportunity that he really needs. And I don't know. I think he's just going to be an average guy for at least until maybe he gets a bigger stage, but who knows if that really happens.
yeah. Moving on from that organization, another one that kind of surprised me, just being a local, like I guess Clipper, well, more of a Kawhi fan, but Zubac ended up going to the Pacers. So basically, the Indiana Pacers acquired center Ivica Zubac and forward Kobe Brown from the Los Angeles Clippers in a blockbuster trade that was finalized. This move addresses obviously the starting center vacancy created by Miles Turner's departure to the Milwaukee Bucks. To secure Zubac, the Pacers sent a significant package of players and future draft capital to the Los Angeles Clippers. So, Indiana Pacers got, like I said, Zubac and Kobe. Clippers received Benedict Mathurin, Isaiah Jackson, a 2026 first round pick that's conditional, a 2029 first round pick that's unprotected, and a 2028 second round pick from Dallas as well too. As far as that first round pick that I mentioned from 2026, it's a top 4 and 10 to 30 protected. So it conveys to the Clippers only if it lands between number 5 and 9. If it does not convey in 2026, the Clippers will receive Indiana's unprotected 2031 first round pick. What are your thoughts on that trade that went down?
I like it for the Pacers a lot. I think they've executed this gap year almost perfectly in terms of, you're giving your young players time to shine. Now you're also going to get a high draft pick, and you replaced Miles Turner with Zubac, who I think Zoo is on a better contract, and you
Yeah,
were also able to get something in return for Benedict Mathurin, which was big because I think that they were kind of wary of the extension they were going to have to sign him to. And I think that they have enough, next year's team will have enough on it to replace the scoring that they're going to lose from not having him. So, you get a great defensive rebounding center, and I think that they didn't really have to give up too much.
hmm
And in terms of the Clippers, I like it because a lot of what I was seeing is they felt like they were selling high because James Harden, the same way that Chris Paul and LeBron and some of these other guys always elevate their centers. Like centers always look better playing next to these guys because they're throwing them lobs and all, so putting them in perfect situations. So Zoo, luckily, we've known he was still good before he had a really good point guard, but I think that yeah, they just did a good job on getting him out while he still was had a lot of value, and once they traded, which we'll get to, once they traded Harden, it just made more sense to like, okay, let's start moving some of these old vets and getting some stuff here in return.
Yeah, I think the Pacers are going to be right back in the mix next year, fully healthy. Like you say, you basically swap out Miles Turner and finally fill that void. You're going to have a top three, top five pick if everything lands in their favor. And like I said, this draft class is looking good. Tyrese Halliburton going to be back as well. So they're going to be solid. I think they're going to be real solid as well too, from the Clippers standpoint. I mean, Benedict Mathurin is a proven guy that can score the basketball. Maybe the staff can do a good job at trying to further develop him. But I like what the Clippers are kind of doing. It's a little too late. We've been saying this for a little while. They should have been blown it up, but it's you know, better late than never, I guess. So the elephant in the room is more so with Kawhi. Like, what are y'all gonna do with him? Right now, he's arguably been playing like a top three, top five player since for like the last 2 months. So it's just like, are y'all just gonna take the route with like a Steph situation where you continue to try to build, but it also seems like they're going young. So that's going to be interesting to see, when the season's over, what they decide to do as well. But yeah, man. Moving on from that, in which you kind of briefly spoke on, the James Harden Garland swap. That's probably one of the biggest ones, obviously. So blockbuster trade, All-Star guard James Harden and Darius Garland got swapped, and that officially ended the core four in the Cleveland era, and shifted the veteran Harden back to the Eastern Conference yet again. So outside of Darius Garland, the Clippers also got a 2026 second round draft pick. So I think they got, as far as like the Cavs, they got James Harden, they got Keon Ellis, they also got Dennis Schroeder as well too to go along with that team. But what were your thoughts on that trade for both parties?
I think it's a great trade for the Cavs, which I know runs counter to some people's idea because James Harden is not good in the playoffs.
Mhm.
But I think even James Harden's not good in the playoffs is still better than what we've seen from Darius Garland in the playoffs.
Yep.
And you also now have Donovan Mitchell, who hopefully, can take some of that burden. He's known for showing up more in big games, way more than James Harden is. So hopefully you have a little bit of a balance there. But I mean, they weren't getting anything out of Darius Garland these past 2 years. He's been dealing with foot injuries for a while and hasn't really looked like himself for the most part. So, and definitely it seemed like he had a trajectory or he was going upwards, and it's clear that at least for now is really stopped. He's just exactly this guy that he was when he made his first All-Star team, basically, which is cool, but it's not nowhere clear, nowhere close to a Hall of Fame. Honestly, I don't even think an All NBA caliber player. So replacing that with James Harden, especially for the regular season, I think is a huge win for them, especially in this depleted ass Eastern Conference. And I think that's really why they made the move is like, okay, this is the year. We know James Harden is old, but they for sure at least have this full year, and I think, or this half of the year, and I think next year as well. So 1.5 years, when the conference is pretty weak is worth the shot, especially for a guy who, couldn't stay on the court and also being an undersized point guard is tough. Especially now you're playing two undersized guards because Donovan Mitchell's like 6'3". So at least you get a little bit more size. I know Harden's not like a defensive guy, but neither was Garland. So yeah, for regular season, I feel like this absolutely raises your ceiling. Postseason, I think that it still gives you a boost. It's not like I'm saying that he's going to save them when the time comes, but I'll take him even on some of his worst nights from instead of what I've seen from Darius Garland these past couple of years.
Yeah, nah, I've never. I mean, I respect Darius Garland, but I've never gravitated towards him. I'm just not really too much of a fan of small guards as well, too. And like you said, ever since that Dame and CJ McCollum experiment in Portland, that was such a turnoff for me. So I was like, what makes you think is gonna be even better? Team linking him with Donovan Mitchell. I mean, granted, outside of that, they got some size, but at the end of the day, in the playoffs, it's all about hunting mismatches. So, like you said, I'd rather have James Harden, who's 6'5", 220, 230, play as opposed to Darius Garland. Like you said, Darius Garland always been hurt as well too. I feel like he can never. I feel like with him is like we haven't seen the Darius Garland we wanted to see ever since Donovan Mitchell came. So I think they kind of didn't necessarily have the best chemistry together. So hopefully with this situation with the Clippers, he can play a lot more better and he can actually be a lot more healthy. But I'm happy for Donovan Mitchell because he's one of the best scorers from a guard standpoint as well too, and he definitely is one of those very few players who elevates his game in the playoffs. So now he can just focus on being a primary scorer as opposed to feeling like he has to do everything on his own from an offensive standpoint because that can get a little draining trying to get your buckets, but also be aware of how the game's going and trying to facilitate and all that stuff. So James Harden is perfect for that. James Harden, even at this age, is a lot more durable as well too. And like you said, we know what we're going to get out of him in the course of an 82 game season. Playoffs is another story, proven track record of flameouts. But like you said, I'd rather have that based on I'd rather have that as opposed to Darius Garland as well. James Harden will probably give you at least 3, 4 good games, but as the series go on, it's a little nerve wracking. Um, but yeah, man, like you said, with the Zubac trade, James Harden, no matter where he goes, he elevates all of his bigs from Zubac to the Capellas, to an extent. What was his name? Nick Claxton as well too, Joel Embiid. So he's definitely going to elevate Jaren Allen, give him a lot of easy looks under the basket. And I'm excited to see whenever Mobley comes back from injury, like what that kind of all looks like together. So if there's any year to try to at least get to the Eastern Conference Finals, is this year. But it's really going to just come down to matchups, honestly. But it's kind of hard to say that knowing his playoff failures that he's had. But every year is a new year, you know what I'm saying? And as for the Clippers, I mean, you don't have to pay James Harden. Darius Garland has been hurt on a contract friendly deal to an extent. And if it doesn't pan out on his expiring year, you can just trade him to get more assets back as well too. I'm sure there's a team that will want to have him. So we'll see what that looks like. I'm definitely going to try to check out a game whenever he's healthy to see what that kind of all looks like together with him, Kawhi, Benedict, all them. But yeah, I mean, I know he's happy to go from being in Cleveland to La La Land where the weather's amazing.
For sure.
But yeah, I'm excited to see how this rocks out. I mean, even if we done at a certain time, I might tap into that fourth quarter. They playing the Cavs playing the Nuggets right now,
Oh
so
yeah, yep.
yeah, that's a solid one. That's a solid one. Um, Jaren Jackson got traded to Utah. Any thoughts on that at all? I know you were, a main advocate at proposing the idea of having him and Durant being a dominant front court. Obviously, that didn't happen.
No.
But what are your thoughts with him going to Utah?
First of all, that shit made me so mad because we're watching all these other teams. Like we just talk about the Cavs realizing, oh, the Eastern Conference is wide open. Let's actually do something. The Celtics adding Vucevic. We didn't even get to that actually. Like there's just so much shit. And the Pistons were like, you know who we need? Kevin fucking Huerter, who is off. His playoff stats are literally fucking terrible. Excuse my language. Terrible.
Mm,
And like that just makes me so mad. Anyway, Jaren Jackson in Utah, I think it's a good move for them overall. Him, Laurie Markkinen, and Walker Kessler, I think is a really nice for your 3, 4, and 5. I just don't know. Utah is on some unethical shit this year, and I don't know if the basketball gods are going to reward them. They literally went into, I think it was like 2 or 3 nights ago, they were up going into the fourth quarter. Jaren Jackson and Laurie Markkinen had like 49 combined points. They didn't play either of them the entire fourth quarter and lost the game.
mm.
Like you can tank, bro, but just you can't, like that's insane. So that's just like a little bit of a different. I feel like that's somehow going to come back and bite them. But just like from a purely basketball standpoint, I like the move. Jaren is a good, shot blocker, defender. He can stretch the floor. Him and you also have Keontae George at the one. So, Utah looks like they're building something and could, if everything goes right, with Ace Bailey as well, could be back to relevance as soon as next year or the year after.
Yeah, I mean, and they should got a nice draft pick this year as well too. So they definitely own something right now. I think they probably eventually gonna get rid of Walker Kessler because there ain't no point in paying him if you just traded for Jaren Jackson Jr. You still got Laurie. But I just want to know what direction they want to go with the bigs. But yeah,
Jaren doesn't usually play the five though.
you said what?
Jaren doesn't usually play the five.
4 and 5 when he needs to, but I don't like the idea of just having all three of them together. I'd rather just have two. So I like the idea of Laurie at the five and Triple J
Laurie
at
at the
the
five,
4. Laurie Markin at the 5, yeah.
he gonna get cooked.
I mean, yeah, but you're gonna have to pay Walker Kessler too pretty soon.
Yeah, but how much? I don't think, we'll see, but I just don't think that Walker Kessler is gonna demand a crazy contract.
Yeah. And then with this young talent, you're eventually gonna have to pay them too. So yeah, I don't know. But I don't honestly I don't pay attention to Utah too much to even see what works and what doesn't work because like you said, they're trying to tank anyway. So yeah, I'm not sure, but hopefully they can finally be relevant again post Donovan Mitchell era. Um, yeah, we'll see. Um, the last, I guess, trade that I kind of want to talk about, is the Boston Celtics one that you kind of brought up as well too. So Boston Celtics acquired Vucevic from the Chicago Bulls in a trade that was finalized. So the move obviously was designed to bolster Boston's front court. Obviously, they lost Porzingis last year, and they also lost Al Horford, who are funny enough on the same team now in Golden State. But yeah, designed to bolster Boston's front court depth for a playoff run. That significantly reduces the team's luxury tax burden. So they got Vucevic, a future second round draft pick from Denver, 2027. And then the Bulls got Anthony Simons. They got so many guards. Anthony Simons and a 2026 second round draft pick as well. Obviously, Vucevic, double double machine, can play in the post and also can spread the floor. And I feel like under Joe Mazzulla's regime, that's what they kind of liked, a five that can stretch the floor. But like I said, even we'll talk about this a little bit later as well too. They're definitely looking like that they're trying to go for a deep playoff run, but they saved 20. Let me see. It says luxury tax savings by swapping Simon's 27.7 million salary to Vucevic 21.5. Yeah. They shed roughly 6 million total salary and reduced their luxury tax by more than $20 million. God damn. Um, yeah, both Vucevic and Simons are also set to become unrestricted free agents this offseason too. That's something that's interesting. Right now, Vucevic averaging 17 and 9, shooting 37% from three, 50% field goal percentage. But what are your thoughts on that trade?
I mean, I like it for the Celtics. I definitely like
Yeah,
it for the Celtics. I mean, I think he could be their Marc Gasol. And
from the
for
Toronto
me,
era.
yeah. For me, I mean that because, Marc Gasol was more defensive. I feel like Vooch is more offensive, but both guys who were, in their last franchise had much bigger roles, but you get traded to an actual contender. You take on a smaller role, but you're able to be stronger in that role and be kind of more of what the team needs. So I like it a lot for the Celtics. Having it looks like they're going to keep having him come off the bench, but
Yeah.
because Keita has played pretty well for them, but now having
Mhm.
that option off the bench, I think is really good, especially when it seems like they weren't really invested in Simon. So I like it. I think for the Bulls, it's an absolute failure. It's a catastrophe that the way that they've managed the last several years. It's so crazy. Like you see how lucky some franchises get. If the Bulls hadn't drafted Michael Jordan, they would be one of the biggest laughing stocks, I feel like, of the NBA. And like they had a little period of time where they also got lucky and drafted MVP Derrick Rose. So he had them with a couple of good teams, but they don't do a good job in building a team outside of that. In these past several years, it's been awful. You had Zach LaVine, you had DeMar DeRozan, you had Vucevic, um, and you traded them all for nothing. It's so crazy to me. Like they traded Caruso and there's one other role player. But basically, the best returns that they got have been Josh Giddey and Jaden Ivey. And for those two, they gave up role players. So like their role players, they were actually able to parlay into something good. and their best players turned into like no draft picks basically, and just yeah. So I don't know what they held on to them way too long, way past their primes, way past when their value was, continue to depreciate, and just were blind to the fact that their team was ass. And
Mm,
so, yeah, I mean, I guess cool that they finally got rid of him, but just an abject failure by management, I feel like.
I agree with you. I agree with you. So Giannis ended up staying put. I mean, that was one of the trades I really, really thought that was going to be feasible before the trade deadline. But should they continue to play him or sit him for the rest of the season?
I mean, Giannis is one of those guys, I think he's gonna want to play regardless. So it's gonna be hard to just, say don't play him.
Hmm.
And I guess we can kind of say this too. They ended up signing Cam Thomas, so he's another person I wanted the Pistons to get. But again, we were so content with Kevin. But yeah, I mean, I think he's going to play. I think they're going to try and make some type of push because I don't think they own their own draft pick anyway, so it's not like they have a really point in tanking. Um, yeah, but it just sucks. But it's also, I think we entered this period of player movement
Yeah.
where if a team or a player, well, more so if a star player has a bad year, it's like, dang, they got to get out of there, whatever, whatever. And you look back at most of NBA history, like good players went through bad periods with their teams. Even Kobe went through some years. D Wade went through some years where they weren't championship contenders at all. And like they stuck it out and they ended up winning more championships. Like both of them literally had this window of time where nothing was happening and they stayed through the course, and both of them ended up winning at least two more championships with their teams.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be mad at him for staying there. He's like 29 or something like that. He has a couple more years. It might take them 1 or 2 years to figure it out, but like if they do, then that's great. And it's also, I get in a sense, when you said that it's a little overrated staying with one franchise, but I think that it also when we look back at players' careers, it does mean something. And sometimes showing that patience and like staying there and trying to wait it out, it looks a lot better when you are compared to a lot of your peers who just went to the next best destination. And you look at some like Kevin Durant and James Harden who still failed to do anything, and it kind of just now you're just diluting your legacy a little bit. So I'm not mad at him for staying. I am mad that he kind of the way he strung things along, and then as soon as the trade deadline was over, he was like, "Yeah, I'm staying here." Like, bro, if you really wanted to really, really be there, you would have said that before. But yeah, overall is what it is. I hope that they're just able to build something around him.
Yeah, honestly, I think he's going to be traded by the offseason. I think they're going to look back and try to find a better package for them. They surveyed the field, and I definitely think this is it with him. So I don't know where he's going to end up, but I don't see him long term with the Bucks. It would be nice if they could kind of figure things out. I mean, from what you've seen right now and the assets that they have in the future, do you think it's possible for him to, I guess, thug it out for one or two more seasons, and they can actually be a championship contending team again? Do you think that they're competent enough to do that?
I do. I mean, I think if you have Giannis on your team,
You
the
always have
same
a
way with a lot
chance.
of, but yeah, with most superstars, you give yourself a chance, especially with, top five guys, you give yourself a chance. So they did it. They did do it before. There was the move for Drew Holiday I wasn't expecting at all because Eric
Yeah,
Bledsoe had been okay for them. He hadn't been good in the playoffs, but he'd been an all defensive type guy, and you know, but they were like, no, let's make this move, and that won them a championship. So, and I like the Dame move. I actually like the Dame move a lot.
damn, that
I
should be
think,
hurting me.
yeah, they got literally the first year that they were in the playoffs, Dame and Giannis both got injured, and then Dame tears the ACL in that same or his Achilles in that same playoffs. So like they just never really got an opportunity to play together, but I did kind of like that fit. I can't get mad. The way we were just talking about the Bulls front office, I cannot be mad at the Bucks front office the same way. I
They've
think
been
the Miles
trying.
Turner
Yeah,
thing, huh?
they've been trying. Yeah,
Yeah, I think the Miles Turner thing was a failure, but like that was again, at least they tried. That I can't be super mad at them, especially given the circumstances. They didn't have a lot to work with. So I think
Hey man,
it,
they won the cup chip though. They champions.
exactly. So, I think it's possible that they could, but it seems like a lot of teams nowadays are just a lot more content shipping off their star player and setting it upon an endless rebuild.
Yeah, no consistency. Um, So we talked about Jason Tatum last week, whether or not he should sit out or try to play as he's rehabbing from his Achilles. He just got assigned to and participate in portions of a practice with the Maine Celtics. He was immediately recalled to the Boston Celtics following the session to continue his rehab. So, yeah, he got assigned to G League team, man. Obviously, there's no official, timetable for his return. But do you think this is any indication of him actually coming back to the Boston Celtics before the season's over and getting back and reintegrated into that lineup?
I mean, I definitely think that there's a possibility that he's going to come back before the season is over. I wouldn't do it. I don't think that it's smart, but they, again, like some of these other teams, I feel like smell blood in the water. Like the East is really weak right now. If he's able to come back and give them a lift on top of the way they've already been playing, and then they also added Vucevic, it would make them absolutely a threat. But I think that the East is still going to be weak enough next year that I wouldn't chance it at all. We know we haven't heard anything about Halliburton, and he only tore his Achilles, what, 2, 3 weeks after Tatum. So yeah, I don't think it's the best thing to be doing in this situation. But if he does come back, maybe he'll try and be, what was it, like Aaron Rodgers was trying to come back and he'll try and be like some miraculous story. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm sitting out. I don't give a fuck. I'm taking the KD method that was actually successful and sticking with that. Y'all not gonna win a chip this year. I mean, it's going Eastern Conference is gonna be tough, but I feel like when it's all said and done, it's gonna be y'all and the Knicks, or at least on paper. But they're gonna give other teams a run for their money for sure. I'm still shocked on like how good they are still this year with losing Drew, you losing him, losing Porzingis, who obviously ain't playing the playoffs like that, and it was kind of spotty in the regular season. Al Horford, so got to give credit to him, but yeah, I'm taking the slow and being patient and just waiting for next year. Um, the NBA Board of Governors is expected to vote on league expansion in the summer of this year, with Seattle and Las Vegas currently serving as the heavy favorites to land new franchises. Commissioner Adam Silver confirmed that a formal determination on adding 31st and 32nd team will be made. So that's pretty cool. So I believe you just need three-quarters majority to get the green light. So 23 out of 30 teams have to vote yes. And like I said, the favorite cities are Seattle and Las Vegas. Obviously, they're undisputed front runners. We've been talking about this for a while now. Yeah, if approved, the Seattle team is expected to reclaim the Supersonics name in history. So that's pretty cool. As far as financial impact, prospective expansion fees are projected to reach between 4 to 7 billion per team. Current owners would split these fees evenly, though they would thereafter share annual TV revenue with more teams, which makes sense. Timeline for play. Should the expansion be approved in 2026, the new franchises are targeted to begin regular season play as early as the 27-28 season. And this is something I was also thinking about as well, too, because last year, obviously, we had conversations in regards to like what LeBron's going to do if he retires early or not. LeBron James is reportedly preparing a bid for the Las Vegas franchise, potentially alongside partners like Redbird Capital and Fenway Sports Group as well too. So, with the potential league realignment, the addition of the two Western teams, Seattle and Las Vegas, would likely force a realignment to balance the conferences. And as far as like the realignment, they were thinking Minnesota because of how they are geographically. Um, Isolated from the West, close to the Eastern rivals. They're also thinking about Memphis Grizzlies. That's an East Coast damn team, and obviously the New Orleans Pelicans as well too. If those two teams aren't going to be in the bid, they have some alternatives. They have Mexico City, Vancouver, where the Grizzlies used to be at, Montreal, and then they said also NBA Europe as well too. But what are your thoughts on us most likely getting two more additional franchise teams?
I think it would be dope. I think we're in a cool point. especially, hopefully more talent is coming in this year, where it seems like there's a decent amount of definitely a decent amount of young talent and a decent amount of young and old talent. Um, and teams have been, well, the league and fans have been wanting a team back in Seattle for a while. And I know
Mhm.
Seattle would be very excited about that. I think they deserve it. It's really weird that it's one of those, behind the scenes money things, but it's weird that Seattle lost their team in the first place, considering how strong their fan base was and how much history they had there. Um, but and I also think, Vegas is kind of par for the course. It seems like Vegas has just turned itself into a sports destination these past couple of years. They have the football teams, they, have the WNBA team. So I feel like the NBA has just made sense to be coming next. But I think it'll be exciting, especially just I'm excited for that expansion draft because each team can only protect like 8 players. So it'll be
Mm.
interesting to see kind of what happens from there. And this is the type of situation that gives guys like Jonathan Kuminga and some other players, an opportunity.
Cam
Usually
Thomas.
yeah, usually when we have expansion drafts is when we have like I know there's a most improved every year, but
Hmm.
usually the most improved goes to a guy who's on the expansion team because it's like, oh, I actually got a chance to just play. So from that standpoint, just giving guys more opportunity to shine and break out of situations the same way we just saw in the NFL that Sam Darnold, if he had stayed with just the Jets, he would have been a bust and nobody would ever seen that he can be at least a competent quarterback happens plenty in the NBA as well, where guys just never get that opportunity. So hopefully this will be that for some people.
And then out of those expansion teams, like I said, with potential realignment, do you like the idea of Minnesota and let's say like a Memphis Grizzlies going to the Eastern Conference?
Yeah, I mean, I think Minnesota definitely should be in the East. Uh, we'll see what they do with Memphis. I just feel like it's just Memphis is considered like the South to me, which would be more, I don't know. I think it's weird when you get to like a lot of the middle of the country. So I'm cool with, for the most part, whoever they put in there. But I
Yeah,
think for sure
I'm also thinking
Minnesota.
about that too. Sorry to interject. Memphis being geographically right near Virginia, right?
Mhm.
But they're in the Western Conference, so I wonder like as far as like air travel, air mileage, like what theirs looks like compared to other Western Conference teams.
Real.
Yeah. But I mean, it would have been lit if we had it years ago when Memphis was actually good, but now it's all right, whatever. But yeah, I don't know what Memphis is trying to do right now, and I don't know what the Pelicans trying to do with Zion and shit like that. But for sure, definitely Minnesota. That's kind of lit. Anthony Edwards and them boys in the Eastern Conference, that would be kind of fire. I ain't gonna lie to you. But last but not least, Carl Conyers. I didn't think we was gonna talk about this, but my phone kind of went crazy. Your Detroit Pistons, who we speak so highly of all year, nothing, were involved in a massive on-court brawl during their 110 to 104 victory over the Charlotte Hornets. The altercation resulted in four player ejections, several punches thrown, and even a brief police presence on the floor to restore order. So essentially, with the broad details, the chaos erupted midway through the third quarter after Charlotte's Diabate committed a hard foul on Jalen Duran. So Duran shoved Diabate in the face in retaliation, and then Miles Bridges charged in and threw a punch at Duran, which triggered a bench clearing scuffle. And as far as like Isaiah Stewart, that nigga,
He
that nigga
ran
ran
off the
from the
bench.
bench to confront Bridges. Eventually, put him in a headlock and then deliver him multiple blows, being restrained. So Durant, Isaiah Stewart, who ran for the bench, Bridges and Diamante all got ejected. And then later in the fourth quarter, the Hornets coach also got ejected as well too. But this your squad, I just want to, lighten it up. What are your thoughts on all this? And do you think it's going to be some strict ass repercussions?
I mean, I definitely think they're going to come down pretty hard. I think that Duran, it's funny enough, the people who started, I think Duran and Diabate are probably get the least fines.
Yeah.
It's going to be Bridges. I think it'll be the most is going to be clearly Isaiah Stewart. then Bridges, then I think it'll be Durant and Diabate. Will probably get something similar. Um, it's crazy though, bro. I can't get mad. This is Detroit. This is like Detroit basketball. This is what Detroit basketball has always been, even before the Malice in the Palace. Like the bad boys was beating niggas up. Then we had the Malice in the Palace. Like the bad boy thing is it's always aggressive and like beat people up. Like that's Detroit, bro. So like as crazy as it is, I cannot say I'm surprised. And I think that although yeah, he's going to get a big suspension, that is exactly why that's the role that we have Isaiah Stewart for on that team, is he's really the enforcer. Like he was chasing down LeBron. I I've been watching basketball closely probably for 17 years now, something like that. And I've never seen a player who was really willing to like square up with LeBron. Like, and he didn't care. And this was, LeBron's a little older now. This was a couple years ago when LeBron was still really like LeBron and Isaiah Stewart was trying to kill this nigga. So like, this is who he is, and this is what he is for our team. He's like, you're not about to just come in here and mess with my teammates, bro. Like, I'll get suspended. I'm a bench guy. But yeah, I can't get mad at it. I think it's very much again just par for the course. We're entertainment for the rest of the league too. Everybody knows they're excited and entertained by this. So as long as they can keep their composure when it comes to the playoffs. But it's the same. Draymond is a Detroit dude. You see where he gets it from, and Miles Bridges is a Detroit dude. He's from one of the suburbs, but and he's from one of the other cities in Michigan. It's not a suburb, but he still has that Detroit mentality. So it just you see it in the guys in the league, and I'm cool with it, bro. It's Detroit basketball.
I fuck with that. And y'all still 5.5 games in first place, so that's cool. But if you had to put on your commissioner hat, how many games do you think is is gonna have? How many games do you think he gonna be suspended for, Isaiah Stewart?
I think Stewart might get 10.
Mm, no pay too. Mm,
I don't think that would be super crazy if he were to get 10.
yeah.
So we'll see. I think anything more than that would be a little egregious. But he did dip up off that bench, and that's like the main thing that they try and, that they really be handing down penalties for. So we shall see. But I think, yeah, he'll probably be around there. Bridges probably be maybe 6, 7, 8, something like that. And I think that Duran and Diabate might be like 2 or 4.
Mm. No, I can see that for sure. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm excited we got that topic in. I was not expecting that at all. Literally saw that shit like 2 minutes before I joined in, which
Dang.
is crazy. But any closing remarks for this week's episode?
Nah, man. Hope everybody, can wash the taste of that terrible Super Bowl out of their mouth this week and have a, great rest of this basketball season.
Hey man, Bills Mafia. Sorry we ain't get where we wanted to go. Every season's a new season, but this is going to be a major off season. So I'm so excited with, but have no choice also. So more so just being on the optimistic side of all the signings we've had from our OC to our DC to our newly appointed head coach. So I really want to see with the flaws that we've kind of been masking. What are we going to do with the offseason as far as free agency signing? What are we going to do with trades? And what are we going to hit within the draft? And is Keon Coleman going to have the maturity, be in the right mindset, the right headspace to seek help from top receivers who he can kind of emulate his game after and kind of mentor him and train with them? And maybe he can come back in a better situation. Because if not, you're getting clipped and shipped. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that was episode 172 of the Seezus Show. Make sure to subscribe on all forms of social media at the Seezus Show, at Carl Conyers, at Sir Seezus. We out.